started. Hello everyone and welcome to Wowhead Weekly Show 151. My name is Annie, or Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch. I play loads of different games, but my main focus is on World of Warcraft. Today we got lots of things to cover, but before we get into that, I want to introduce my co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I am the site director for Wowhead. I oversee all the news and guides features we build on the site, and we have a really packed show. We are starting a little late actually because I was at Blizzard with all of my coworkers, and we usually work remotely so I don't get to see them. So we'll cover that a little bit, but then we've had two builds since the last show. One added the Mag'har Orcs, and the other added the Zandalari Troll Druid form, so we have a lot to cover there. And then we also have two huge zones that opened up, so we have a lot of really interesting alpha stuff to bring to you today. So
almost got me there. Like, what, BlizzCon? Did I miss BlizzCon?
Yeah, it felt like BlizzCon. It was very exciting seeing people I like.
Yeah, I can imagine. And we also got a little picture to share from that, actually. I'll bring it up right here.
So this was really cool because a lot of us work all over the world. So we've got people from Serbia in the picture. We've got Australia. We have Canada. We have the East Coast. We've got people that are still on the West Coast, but they're not in California. And the company, ZAM, the parent company for Wowhead, had an annual conference where we share everyone's site plans. So everyone from Wowhead attended and got to hang out face to face. During one of the conference days, actually, the data mining hit, so we all had to get up and find a spare conference room, and we were data mining face to face, and like, this didn't work, there's a bug here, like, oh, like, I have a new Druid form, like, go post this quick. And it was stressful, but it was kind of fun. It felt like a really fun team building exercise to be working on something challenging in person. And it did kind of make communication go faster where you don't have to stop and type things when you get something done.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had an amazing tour of Blizzard this morning. Jay Cartier and Caden House took us around. We got to see the library. We got pictures by the orc statue, and it's super cool. We're taking pictures, and Mike Morheim, like, you know, he started Blizzard. He just like walks by and we're like, can you be in our picture? And he's like, oh, sure. And he just took a bunch with us. So like super huge, like, you know, fanboy moment for everyone that was part of Wowhead. The coolest thing we saw was the licensing area, which is where, you know, they make the prototypes for, like, you know, Pepe and the Overwatch League and, you know, all sorts of plushies and cool stuff. A lot of it I can't share publicly, but I've never actually been there before, and I've been to Blizzard a lot. It's like, oh my god, like, here's all the plushies ever, and like all the merchandise you've ever made, and every single pin, and it felt like, you know, you're like in Santa's workshop or some sort of Toyland. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited that all my coworkers got to go and, you know, just see Blizzard and like all the ins and outs and fancy rooms. We couldn't go to the WoW area because that was where, you know, they're working on Battle for Azeroth, and they're like, you guys will definitely notice stuff because, like, that's your job. So that was off to us.
It sounds really fun. I wish I could have been there too.
Yeah,
I miss Blizzard headquarters. I can only be there, like, the only time there's any chance I could be in the near area is basically around BlizzCon time. Otherwise, it's too far. It's impossible. But yeah, it looks like a really lovely picture. Like the weather, I was told that it might be a little bit misguiding, or deceiving rather. It looks very hot and sunny, but it's maybe not very hot, but still pretty warm probably compared to Sweden, because it's really cold here. We still have snowstorms outside. It's completely white everywhere. It's quite a big contrast. And also, speaking of meeting face to face, I hope you guys noticed that Pepe is in the picture too. Are you able to spot Pepe? Yes? No? 2 points if you do.
Yeah. So, a funny Pepe anecdote that we shared before the stream started was that, so the licensing area has a bunch of Pepes that, well, all plushies that they have to do quality control on, and sometimes it's like, this is the wrong color, or like the eye wasn't sewn on correctly, or this part is too, rigid and you have to go make the item again, or, the sleeve was sewn on backwards. And they have a lot of the reject things there for fun. And they were showing me some fun things like, oh, this Murloc had too big of a head, or the Shadow plush was the wrong color. And then there was this headless Pepe plush, and it was so horrifying. It's like, I just dropped everything I was holding. I was like, no! And everyone else was like, throw it away. It's not even a reject. Like, it's just horrifying. Like,
how do you forget the head?
It's just, I guess that was an example of why it was not a good prototype if the head fell off of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to experiment with putting on a different kind of head or something. I don't know, but that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have to see that, so I don't have any nightmares. We got Pepe's chilling around here. We like Pepe. No headless Pepe, okay? None of that in the game, please. Ever.
They also had a really cool Blizzard museum. I'm sorry I don't have pictures of this. Maybe I'll find some later. But they have a little art gallery next to the lobby. And they have a bunch of props from things like Hearthstone commercials, or they have all the Azeroth armory weapons. So they have the Ashbringer and Doomhammer and the Warglaive that they made, like out of, semi-precious materials. And it's really cool to see them up close, in person, and have all the gold plating and the gems and all that fun stuff. So that was really cool.
Yeah, sounds like you guys had a great time. So that's it doesn't really affect the YouTube community that much, but for the people who are watching us live right now, that explains why we are a little bit late today, since the Wowhead team have been busy, and that's also why we probably won't see Sass in the chat, but we are here at least. So
yeah, Sass.
We didn't miss our show at least.
Even a tour of cool stuff. I think they're going to Disney a little bit because he's from Serbia, and it's like, well, first time in the US, and we should take you to fun stuff.
Oh wow, first time even. Yeah,
I know. It's a really cool experience for him. I'm so glad that he got to meet Mike Warheim. It's like, oh my god, I love your games, and first time here, and I'm at Blizzard, and all these people are seeing me. So
yeah, no Sass here today, which means no giveaway, but hopefully we'll make up for that next week instead. At least we're able to have the show here, so at least there's something. Also, quick shout out to people who are watching us on the Wowhead front page. Hello everyone. If you're not familiar with Twitch is a site where you can watch videos being live streamed. There is a chat where you can also start talking or communicate with us or other people in the channel. Yeah, other people in the people with people. Yeah, lots of people. So if you're interested in that, don't be afraid to pop in. We mentioned something last week, which was to kind of communicate with YouTube a little bit more by taking a question on a weekly basis. Any kind of question that regarding anything. And this time we picked this one. We have a question from My Beloved Chaos, who wrote, I'm so glad you'll be choosing a question from YouTube. My question is, Perk, are you the one that thought of the flavor text on the Wowhead page title?
So if you don't know what that is, if you go to the Wowhead homepage and then you mouse over the title in a tab, it will usually say something funny. I did not come up with that. I'm not sure who did. I joined a site around Cataclysm, but I think it's a really funny idea. And there's dozens of fun titles, and while I didn't create it, I realized when answering this question that I do have the functionality to add some titles. It's really easy. So, we thought it might be fun to get some suggestions for you on funny things we should have in the title related to WoW, fun WoW jokes, and I can add those in really easily.
Yeah, so if you guys have any ideas of anything, very short but funny that can be put up there, we might take it. Maybe something from the chat or from YouTube comments or anywhere. If you have an idea, go ahead and post it, and then maybe we can make use of it. So thank you, My Beloved Chaos, for asking the question, and also thank you for now making us realize that this is something that we can actually play around with. So that's
I kind of
awesome.
forgot about it for a while, so yay!
Yeah, so now it's awesome. So as a reminder for that, for next week, if you're interested in having one of your random questions answered here on the show, you can just type the comment in the YouTube video or in the YouTube comments, and we will check it out and pick one for next week as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
that's really
I think
good
we
to
should
know.
move on to some of the cool alpha stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
First things up here are our new models for druids. I think this will make druids very happy. Well, for the most part, hopefully at least. We can start off here with the bear form. So I've got a slideshow going with all the different colors, just swapping around them. If you want to comment anything, you can go ahead, Perk.
So these are specifically for the Zandalari trolls, the new allied race coming in battle for Azeroth. I know that there's some well, not with the druids, not with this form, but I know there's some disappointment that there's no like High Mountain Tauren Moonkin form, while the Zandalari trolls apparently have a new Moonkin form. And I do think that is interesting, how they get a cool dinosaur form. But yeah, as for the Guardian Druids, they're kind of like turtle bears. They're really spiky and cool, and I think people either they have tusks, which is kind of crazy.
I don't think they're bears anymore.
Yeah, they're like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Which I guess ties into the whole, culture of the Zandalari, but
yeah, it really fits.
Like, if you are a druid, you can be a dinosaur. Whoa, like I think everyone's going to be a Zandalari druid.
Just to remind you guys of some old forms as well, we have the travel form right here, which basically turns you into a little dinosaur, and we also got the flight form right here, which is also a different type of dinosaur. A flying one, of course. And then the other new one that has also just been found is the one that's caused some interesting discussions. Yeah. The one for the Boomkin, which is this one. One of the first reaction questions was, oh, they've lost weight because they're a lot thinner.
Yeah, I don't really have. I mean, they do have feathers. They have. I think they share the Arakoa skeleton from Warlords of Draenor, but they look very different from the Moonkin silhouette.
Yeah,
like at least
really
the turtle with tusks is like, okay, well it's a bear. It's this compact round ball. But I don't know. They've kind of like a little hourglass figure going on. They got some hips, so yeah, very different than the usual Moonkin.
I still can't really put my finger on what I think of them, but I mean, yeah, they do definitely have the sort of birdie feeling to them with the feathers, so it is still a Moonkin, but it does look odd, like it looks weird, but then again, I mean, Moonkins look weird too. Like, I don't know if you guys remember your first thought when you saw them when you started playing World of Warcraft, but I personally, when I saw a Moonkin, I was like, what is that? I don't want to be that. I want to look like a human or something, so it's a big difference, but it does suit the Zandalari, so it makes sense in that way, but it is still pretty odd.
Yeah. And if you want to check out more of the animations, like I said, they share a lot of movements with the Arakoa, and you can check that out in the Wowhead model viewer on the linked article. You can check out their like flying and sleeping and jumping, and they look pretty cool when they cast because they have really long arms, and the arms are kind of like wings. And I know with Moonkins you have these little like fat arms, they don't really do anything, so it is a very different set of visuals with the Zandalari druid.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start seeing these things in battlegrounds. That'll be so weird.
Oh, but yeah, so different like skin colors too, like the Guardian druids, they change with their hair, but it feels like with the Moonkin they never change color, but it feels you could if it's like, well, they've got the purple feathers, but why not blue feathers and green feathers? So I'd be okay for more customization, but I think they should add it to the other races because it would be a little unfair if the Zandalari druids got a new Moonkin form and then they had more customization in that form.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point that you made. I never thought about it before, how the Boomkins don't have different colors depending on their, skin or hair color. That is definitely something that they could put into it.
Yeah, make the older races feel happy too. That it's like,
yeah. Yeah, so that was the Druid, little Druid update. So anyone who is considering to play Druid and find the Zandalari an interesting race might now find more reason to play it. We got some other cool models as well. We wanted to highlight a couple of them. The first one that we have here is a little baby dinosaur. And it is so cute. The big eyes, and they come in the different colors as well. Do we know what these are? Like, are they random, like, are they pets maybe?
They are listed as like baby direhorns. There are some quests in Zuldazar where you rescue an orphaned one and you bring it back to the training center, and when you finish the quest, it's like placeholder. You will come back at max level to do world quest with your direhorn. So I think it's gonna be like winning the loyalty of these little baby direhorns.
Okay. Do you think it would still be like something that you keep?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you'll have to do like a thing to earn their trust, and then you get the battle pet at the end of it.
Okay. So I guess kind of similar to those the pets that we got for this expansion that turned into mounts.
Yeah, the Falcosaurs.
That's
so
it.
It's like you have to like win their trust, and then maybe farther down the line we'll get the matching mount for them.
Yeah. Wait, wasn't there something similar in Mists of Pandaria as well with the mounts? I might be mixing something up. I felt like there were some serpents where like you had to.
You had to get exalted with Shadow Pet. Oh yeah, the Order of the Cloud Serpents. You had to gain the rep, and then once you got the rep, you could.
Didn't it start off as an egg first?
Yeah, you got an egg at the Order of the Cloud Serpent hub, and as you got reputation and progressed, the egg would grow and keep growing, and then you would get your own little Cloud Serpent.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. I like those things. It's like it makes it feel like there's some kind of sweet sort of personal progression going on. So that's really cool. So yeah, I guess we'll get something going on with those little dinosaur babies as well. That's awesome. Yeah. We also got some interesting, let's see here. We got some weapons here to show, some older weapons. We got two, I think there might be daggers or swords.
Yeah, I think these are daggers.
They're all daggers, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, if you don't remember, Uldir is going to be the first raid in battle for Azeroth. Probably won't be right at launch, but it will continue the story of Nazmir, which is about the corrupt blood trolls and experiments they're doing and dark sources of their power. So it makes sense that the weapons from this raid are also troll themed, as we try to put an end to what the blood trolls are doing once and for all.
I think I'm gonna definitely have to make some kind of very colorful transmog when all these sort of troll and Zandalari things come up, and because there's so many different colors and so many different ways of making you look crazy, but still.
And if you had a Zandalari troll, they have the neon hairstyle, so you could have like a troll with pink hair to match the pink weapon, or like bright green hair to match it. So.
Not playing Horde though. Sorry.
Oh well, that might be harder, but maybe I feel like Dark Iron actually looks really good in Zandalari stuff because hair is like on fire and it's bright
that's
red.
a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's just so hard for me to go away from being a human. So when I started playing the game, I played a gnome because I thought gnomes were really cute. And as soon as transmog was introduced to the game, I race changed to human, and that was the only race change that I have ever made.
I've always been a night elf because I think the armor looks, when transmog, I'm like, oh, I like how it looks great on them, and like they're muscular but also have a really cool like silhouette. And I think that it's the tall races. I think for transmog you can see the details more easily, and on both races you don't have to worry about like your spine is sticking out of the cape or you don't see the shoes, or like your gloves are rotting away, or like I'm a Draenei, so I have a tail. It's a lot of these little things that kind of modify what things are meant to look like.
Yeah, I feel like for undeads, it is like you mentioned, kind of distracting with not distracting, but kind of ruining certain armor types or armor with the bones sticking out and similar. But I have a thing for undead. I feel like it's kind of like my alter ego, where I think they actually look really cool, and I don't know if I could play it as a full-time thing, but I like looking at how they move and how they, their animations and just everything.
Fair.
Like, I think undead actually looks really cool, even though they completely ruin their armor.
Right.
I think they look cool. Like if you compare it to something like a troll, I feel like with trolls,
trolls
I just
also
don't
are
like
missing
it.
things like their shoes are missing and they're hunched over. Well, Zandalari won't be hunched over.
That's true. That's true. That solves that issue.
Yep.
But yeah. On to the next
Speaking of trolls.
Speaking of trolls.
yucky looking troll. Talking about your most favorite and least favorite thing, there is an undead troll model. You just
combining the
things
two
together, and
no,
it looks really
don't
horrifying.
do this.
That's like some weird, like, gross.
Like, what is that?
Mold
even
on its shoulder. Ugh.
Do we know what this is?
My guess it's related to the raid because
okay.
Like the whole dungeon at Zuldazar is about Zul trying to resurrect things in a graveyard, and it's not a spoiler, like that was the BlizzCon demo build. So it makes sense that he's trying to raise trolls that are already dead, and ta-da, we get undead trolls. So they look
God. Yeah. Imagine that as like some kind of allied race. Oh god.
I know, it's like I don't want them with this.
Like you can choose the color of this gooey stuff on the shoulder.
Yeah, you can have like it on one shoulder or two, and it can be on your head as well, or your leg.
Oh god, no. Oh god. Yeah, I think that covers all the models that we wanted to mention. I'm gonna double check quickly. Okay, I also saw a dolphin one. I wasn't sure what to comment about it, but I just thought that they looked cool. Are these dolphins going to be in the game?
Yeah, they'll be in the game. There's not too much to say about them. My guess they'll be swimming around the Zandalari water.
Yeah. I noticed they have like a golden line like on the side of it. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, one quick note about the other model, the Azeroth War Machine. I think it's just important to note that, we learned, obviously, that the Horde has some War Machine, with Battle for Lordaeron, but it's interesting that there is a model for an Alliance version too, and this looks more like a defensive thing, not like a here's an evil machine out to cause destruction, but more like here's a tank that's like we just made it in case something bad happens. So it's just interesting to learn how both sides are trying to do something with Azeroth. Which kind of transitions into the next segment on the broadcast text, which is where we always discuss spoilers of upcoming story stuff that was hinted. Including
we need a sound effect for that.
Burning of Teldrassil. So we should put spoiler tag up, and then we can go through all the spoiler things in the two builds.
Yes, I've got some. The way we've got a bunch of different texts, broadcast story texts from different characters, and we will show them as well as talk about them. The first one that I've got here is by Gen Greymane.
Right. So here he is trying to inspire the Alliance to fight at Lordaeron, and all the broadcast text we've seen so far is that the Alliance were not doing very well, and then some sort of miracle happens and they win. The miracle is still unknown, but it's interesting that it's not just Anduin giving the speeches, it's also Gen. And we've seen kind of towards the end of Legion how Anduin is kind of leaning more heavily on Greymane for advice. Some people even say that maybe it's too much because, Greymane was like, oh, war with Sylvanas, like, very war hungry and driven by revenge over the death of his son. But, he's clearly doing more here. And an interesting line is, it's just reiterating that the Horde's cowardly attack on Teldrassil brought war upon us. The war chief's goal was not to capture a single city, but to destroy our way of life. So, it makes very clear that the Horde is starting the conflict here with this battle.
Yeah.
Another interesting piece of dialogue. This isn't really interesting within itself, but more that Rexxar is making an appearance, and people were really excited that Rexxar has dialogue because they thought he didn't have enough of a role in the Hunter Class Hall campaign. But it seems he's like assisting you with some quest or islands if he's upset about Ashara in some forum. Not too interesting, but it's still really cool that he's returning.
Yeah, I think that will make hunters very interested as well.
Yeah. Do we have any more from this first article, or we're on to the second link now?
I think that was it for the first one.
Yep. So for the second one... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say this gives a little bit of a, I guess in a way, funny point of view in the war fronts. This is covering the different insults that we can see at the war fronts, both from Alliance side and from Horde side. And is it from the war front side itself, or what is that? There's like a third point of view.
In how I set this up, there seemed to be some dialogue where the Alliance and Horde maybe clashed in a quest, and they sort of talk back and forth. And then I have a section devoted towards, if you secure a base and it's the Horde, like, this is the dialogue you get.
That's
and,
it. Yeah,
just like generic NPC dialogue.
Yeah. Okay.
But the whole first section is like different specific leaders of the Alliance and the Horde being upset at each other, like, specific insults about, Muradin or Trollbane, or Liadrin. So, like, these faction leaders do not like each other anymore.
Nope,
so,
not at all. I think I've got one or two here. I've got 5 of them showing here. Like, we have one example here. For example, the Alliance says, "You dare invade Stormguard, rightful home of the Trollbanes? Get out of my sight, Greenskin." And then the Horde replies, "Greenskin? Oh, now you've made me mad."
The one that I really like is when the Alliance goes like, "What's this, Horde invaders with a paladin in command? What has this world come to?" And the Horde's like, "You've been away for too long, Tyrallion. The world's moved on without you."
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, yeah. And they're like,
Shows how
think
long
again,
he's been gone.
Man, we're here to take this back. And it's like, they are just not. Like, it's no like, "Oh, we worship the light together." It's just like, no. Alliance versus Horde. And it appears that the leaders present in some form are Tyrallion, Liadrin, Muradin, Trollbane, which is kind of interesting but cool. Like, he's not a faction leader, but obviously he really cares about Stromgarden, who is part of the Death Knight class campaign. Ettrig and Rokon. So, interesting mix of characters. It's cool to have Rokon involved, because I feel after Vol'jin, the new leader of the Trolls is sort of not really in the spotlight, so it's cool they're giving him more to do.
Yeah.
That's basically what the war front on. It's really sad after Legion how the sides are really hating each other now, including people that in Legion maybe got along or tried to work together, but such is WoW.
Such is warfare.
Yep.
We got some interesting text which covers the idea of healing Azeroth. And I've got the quote right here. So it says, "A champion, come back to Silithus. I've discovered how we can be healing Azeroth. Magni, tell me what we can do to heal Azeroth. The heart of Azeroth can heal the planet's wounds, but you need to get it more power if we're going to stop it permanently. More wounds be appearing throughout the planet, and more forces be seeking to use it for their own ends. You need to stop these forces and absorb any Azerite they be using to power the heart."
So that's probably like our last hurrah of everyone working together to do something good and not destroy parts of the world. So whenever we can retire our artifact weapons, this is probably going to be leading up to the quest before that.
Yeah. It still hurts that Azerite is coming. Like, I was playing the new Battleground, which we'll mention a bit later on, Seething Shore, and it's like we're mining Azerite, and knowing like what's going on and everything, it hurts to do it. It's like I'm doing something bad. I'm killing the planet. But yeah, everything to win the Battleground, right?
Exactly.
Everything to win the war. Yep.
So this next spoiler text is the most interesting, I feel. It's related to the burning of Teldrassil. Several builds ago, we data mined some text, and Christy Golden, the author of the tie-in novel Before the Storm, tweeted something that, bear in mind that some of the stuff that has been unearthed is not accurate. And then the dialogue was changed in another alpha update, specifically Sylvanas' motivations for burning Teldrassil.
So I'm showing both parts here, so people can see it as well. You can continue commenting, just wanted to let you know that I'm showing both.
So basically the old dialogue was saying we have to take over the continent so we can have this empire that's untouched with the sea, and, our generations will hate us, but they'll be safe. And people didn't think that was in character. And they're like, Azerite means warfare. What will war look like in 20 years? In 100, we have to win the arms race. And by the way, we have to do this to save the Horde. But now the second half was changed to they feel the Night Elves are a threat to the peace and safety of the Horde. And it seems that there's been an event that has made them feel they are a threat, and they're worried about Darnassus being a safe harbor for smuggling the Azerite to the Eastern Kingdoms, and the goal is that they need to control the Azerite and remove the port of Darnassus. And then we've got some further dialogue where hinting how they are trying to do something and distract the wisps from attacking them, and by creating a commotion to distract the wisp, that is how they can penetrate the defenses and get to Teldrassil.
Yeah, it's an interesting change. So it went from Sylvanas being extremely sort of offensive in a way to like a hunger for more power almost, to kind of feeling like, or recognizing that there is a threat, therefore we have to, retaliate in a way.
And she said, like, what is certain is that Teldrassil and its night elves pose a clear threat.
Yeah.
And it's like, so did the night elves... They
must have done something. Yeah.
Or there was a misunderstanding where, like, I don't know, maybe they thought it was them, but it was an old god doing a thing.
Good point.
So, yeah, so that's what's going on with the burning of Teldrassil, and I'm sure there's some stuff that we don't know that will be part of a grand reveal.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people who were concerned about why Sylvanas is so power-hungry and so evil. Yeah. And now people, especially the Horde, can feel like, she's being a good leader. She's taking actions that she has to because of what happened. Just the action.
I'm curious to know what will actually happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this suits her character better. It felt very weird to be like, I'm going on the offensive, but it's really noble because I care so much about the children of the Horde. Like, that does not sound like Sylvanas caring about, like, orc children. So...
Yeah, and it always felt, it's still kind of, now it makes more sense that she's more, because before it was like, okay, sure, the sea is gonna, be dividing Horde and Alliance, but then what about Undercity, right? But now it makes more sense that they have to do something about their Darnassus because of this.
And they don't have plans to move there permanently. They're just like, oh, we need to eliminate the threat, and then we'll be fine in the Undercity.
So then that makes a little bit more sense in terms of the problem with Undercity then being kind of left off on the wrong continent. So yeah, this feels a bit more like making sense.
Yep. So I think we can take the spoiler tag off for now.
Okay.
Because we've got some class animations to show.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we've got a Holy Light and a Death Bolt.
Yes. Starting here with, I'm not sure how loud this is. Actually, I don't think it's very loud at all. So the first one that we see here is the Tauren Holy Light. As you can see, he's or she's sort of... hey, we can show the Draenei one as well. She's... picking up a little book and kind of skipping through it or going through some pages of it, and then the arm goes up and then the Holy Light has been casted.
It's kind of funny because I'm picturing someone being like, I need to cast a spell. Oh, where's the right page again? Like, they don't know what they're like, flipping through a textbook really quickly.
That's true. Like, whoa, I forgot how to cast this. I need to quickly check my book.
Yeah. But it was better over the previous one, and it looks really neat on the different races. I mean, it's definitely welcome, even though if they look a little, unprepared, like they need to read their homework. It's also nice.
Maybe it's just I'm bringing the power out of the book. The book is holy. The book is giving me power. So maybe that's the thought behind it.
A lot of Wowhead comments have left. They've been mentioning how it's a throwback to the Burning Crusade cinematic. It's the same animation used there, so that's neat.
Oh, okay, cool. Good to know. We got another animation here for the best class in the game, the Warlock. The ability that we're focusing on here is the Death Bolt. Death Bolt is a new... Is it a demo ability?
I think it's an affliction.
Oh, was it affliction?
I think it's an affliction talent, but it shared an animation with a demo talent in past builds, and it was kind of a placeholder animation.
Oh, I think it was it the one that sort of takes all your dots in consideration in terms of how much damage it does?
I think so. I'm pulling up the talent cap. Wait, maybe Yeah, Death Bolt is a level 15 Affliction Warlock talent.
Yeah.
Launches bolts of death, dealing 35% of the total remaining damage of your damage over time effects on a target.
That's it, yeah.
And it used to resemble load faster.
It actually reminds me a little bit of how Mortal Coil moves.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
used
also
to look like Demon Bolt.
Okay.
That was the demo tower. Looked like Demon Bolt. Demon Bolt is going away, and Affliction has this cool-looking purple and green thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. If you look closely, it is actually it's kind of purple, green, and blue. It looks pretty cool when you look at it.
Like blobs of stuff. At the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, it's like circles everywhere, little circles everywhere. But yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, I think I was confusing it with the demo ability, but now I remember it's the one that that does damage according to how many dots and how much duration of those that are left. So I think it does more damage at the beginning when you've just, or I think it's like you have to kind of focus on casting it when you've just refreshed all your dots.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, so that's probably something I'm going to be playing.
No,
that was it for animations.
Super exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah. On to the Magar orcs.
So,
Got lots of things on this.
They are an allied race, and we have lots of female customization options. And it's so cool. We have faces, hair colors, hairstyles, skin color, and tattoos. And the skin color is the most interesting because it shows that the skin colors resemble the different clans from Alternate Universe Draenor. It's not, they're all the same shade of orc, which means that they must be the Mag'har from Outland. The skin colors mean that all the races in AU Draenor that were uncorrupted have banded together and are now calling themselves the Mag'har.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, I can be a Blackrock orc, or I can be a Warsong orc, or I can be a Shadow Moon orc, and I can take the armor sets I got from my garrison, and now like they look perfect on the orc. So I think that's really cool. I also love the female hairstyles. I think my favorite one is which one is my favorite?
There's so many of them.
The mohawk with the gigantic braid is really cool.
Let's see if I can see it. So these are the hair colors. These are the ones. Okay, yeah, I see the one you're talking about. Yeah, there's lots of options here. It's really cool. So I've got the slideshow going. Like here we see the different faces. The previous one was the different hairstyles. The one before that was the different hair colors. We also got customization options for different skin colors. I can show that one now. And here you'll see how they rotate between, you know, the more sort of reddish colors and the more pale colors as well. And I think one of the skin types has some kind of, this one has some kind of white patterns on the skin.
Yeah, I think that's the pale orcs. Maybe there'll be one as well.
Okay.
So, but yeah, a lot of the races we met in Warlords of Draenor will be joining us. So I think that's interesting. In the next section, I can talk a little bit more how I think that's the case. But yeah, we have all these options up in the Battle for Azeroth dressing room, so you can like try out your favorite armor set on them and like mix and match their hairstyles. I think that the garrison sets look really cool on them. So, you know, definitely try them out. Like it's cool to put the Blackrock orc in the plate Blackrock set from the armory building.
Yeah.
Or like the Pale Orc and the Shadow Moon, stuff like that. Or try on the Orgrimmar guard set on them. So yeah, they look super cool.
We got some customization for males as well, so I'll quickly go through those as well. No, not as much. We got the face options here. I'll let you guys look at them for a bit, and then I'll put through the slideshow with the different skin colors. And you'll see similar colors for the male as well. But yeah, a lot less customization in terms of
they
hair.
are unfinished. Yeah. It's not that Blizzard hates them. They're just not ready.
Yeah, Blizzard just decided these guys are going to stay bald, so there's no customization for hair. No, that's not the case. Here we got the skin colors as well. Oops, need to hide this one. There we go. But yeah, it seems like they have a little bit of patterns as well on their bodies. There's, the white pattern as well, similar to the female one. And then a lot of these also have some other kind of patterns on them, which is different to regular orcs, which is interesting.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, like I think my favorite customization thing overall is that mohawk with the long braid, but it's cool how they have unique hair colors. And I like the idea that all the Draenor races are united in some form and we get to interact with, you know, more allies the merrier.
I also saw that Lil Trobert just subscribed to the channel, so I want to quickly say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Since we were kind of in between stuff, thought I might as well quickly say thank you and welcome to the community. Next up, with the Magar Orcs, we have some more funny stuff. We've got some jokes and flirts to cover. You guys may remember in the past that we covered some other allied races, jokes and flirts, and now we got the ones for the Magar Orcs. So let's start off with the male one.
Yeah.
There we go. Like even from the first one, you can already tell like they're so cheesy and so funny. Like the first one is your mother a fire elemental? Because you're smoking hot.
And yeah, it's like, here to take a walk with me in the shadow moonlight. So they're clearly referencing all the clans. And just even the puns on like the Makara, their like ritual battles. Like, you're not just good looking, you're Makara Gus. Or a sensitive guy, please don't break my mag heart. You're so cheesy.
My safe word is Zug Zug.
Come on a date with me and I guarantee you'll be wearing a black tooth grin.
I see you guys in the chat writing the haha emote. That's exactly what this is, and that's what's perfect. It's like cringely perfect.
Yeah, they're like all these like muscular orcs that are like, I chop this and and oh, we're so cheesy.
We also got some jokes as well. I don't remember if I had a favorite among these ones. But here is something that is clearly showing that Magar Orc will definitely be Horde. Like we see Orgrimmar being mentioned, for example. Like he says, the chiropractor in Orgrimmar has done wonders for my back. And I mean, I don't think any Alliance person would be saying that they went to a chiropractor in Orgrimmar.
Right.
So.
And that's because there can be upright orcs in battle for Azeroth.
That's really cool.
Also, it's more subtle. The Azeroth goes through war cheats like Draenor goes through alternate timelines. That's clearly a joke to Warlords of Draenor. Yeah, so that's the male stuff. And we also have some female flirts and jokes as well.
Like this one, you don't need a dark portal. You've already invaded my heart.
This one shows that they were definitely uncorrupted. It is a green orc gave me a candy heart that said, I fell for you. I told him he could keep his demon's blood and clobbered him with my mace.
Yep.
And also, it's funny, they're like, any idea if Sourfang is single? He's got that silver fox thing going on. Which is funny, because it's like, oh, like, Sourfang is like this, badass in the main timeline, and now they finally meet, they're like, oh yeah, he's a badass too, like, he's so distinguished. And let's see.
Another joke one is not being able to pronounce Draenor, so it's like Draenor. Draenor?
Yeah.
Draenor? Draenor. I'm just gonna say I'm from Outland.
There are two more Horde references, or AU references here as well. One is the, hey, aren't you the one who left that abandoned garrison littering up Frostfire? So, clearly the Warlords, orcs. And, also, I dyed my hair green once. Warchief Hellscream was not amused, and this shows that Grom Hellscream, who started off as kind of a bad guy and then helped us with Archimonde, he must have, succeeded in his mission to unite all the orcs, and keep all the uncorrupted tribes together. And also, it's like, Azeroth has so many rules about who you can stab, who you can't stab, who you can punch, who you can't punch, you guy needs to loosen up. And it probably means it's AU Draenor because, the Mag'har clan who was in Outland is, very familiar with Azeroth and the Alliance and the Horde, like Thrall has visited them, so they would not be confused about that.
Yeah. So no more no more crazy speculations about Starfang possibly talking to Anduin about Maghar orcs for the Alliance. Now we are pretty sure that it's gonna be for the Horde.
Also, some of the civilians literally say, "For the Horde, fall before the Horde." So that's pretty obvious.
Imagine them saying that in Stormwind, like that would be so wrong. Yeah, so we know now that they're going to be
saying that in an intro scenario before they join the Alliance. That's not happening, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. The last bit that we have here for the Maghar orcs is a little video that covers the Maghar orc on their mount and the heritage armor that they're wearing.
Great.
So let's go ahead and show that. I think this clip might have some music, but I did turn it down, so hopefully shouldn't be very, very loud. But yeah, so this one shows the a quick look at the mount itself first, and then we will see the Maghar orc on it, just riding around, and right here, clothed in the heritage armor.
It matches really well.
It really does. And I like this video. It's really cool because it's like a 3D version of like the gray rockets and like a sky. I like these videos.
Yeah, it gives the thing a perspective without being like, hey, like we don't want you to get confused and think this is actually in the game when it's not.
Yeah,
but it, you get a sense of scale and how large the thing is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flavor text. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Maghar orc has the horns around, and so does the mount as well. So it's a perfect match.
Yeah, and the flavor text is native to Draenor. These wolves are preferred by the Maghar for their ferocity, loyalty, and for something to snuggle on those cold winter nights.
Yeah, someone pointed out the Garrison wolf mount. So the model does very much remind of the wolves back in Draenor, and it does kind of make sense as well since they are from Draenor. Yeah,
and like the frost wolves had the puppies with them, and there was that rare spawn in Frostfire that would drop the mount that you could sell. Why am I blanking on the name? But it was that rare. You could get like that wolf mount, and the Garrison Invasions had the 4 similar mounts. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of those mounts, and a lot of them were rare as well. I remember that used to make me so mad. Like, there's so many of the same mounts, just different colors. But I have to collect them all. Yeah, have to collect them all. Guard Night Owl. Yeah, that was the one. That was one of them.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking of.
But yeah, now we can go on to the next topic here. I think, unless there was something you wanted to add to the Maghar orcs.
No, we're good. We can move fully on to trolls from orcs and talk about some dinosaurs and gold-plated cool pyramids and stuff.
With very beautiful scenery, because this is actually the part where I have lots of pictures to show. Well, parts of it, then more pictures to show after that as well. But we will start with talking about the Zuldazar. And to give you guys a little bit of a introduction to the area, we've got lots of pictures to show. So let me go into the slideshow right away here. There's going to be a bunch of different pictures sliding through here. And basically what they're covering is the area which is outside the royal chambers. And as you can see, it's really, really pretty. There's lots of gold, there's lots of green, there's lots of trees, there's mountains, there's water, there's everything. It looks really pretty.
This is where the king and the princess are at the very top. In the royal chambers, this is also where the Horde has set up their base. You can find the Horde training some Kor'kron soldiers in there of all races. They're not just limited to orcs anymore. I don't know if this was in the slideshow. I know it caused a lot of controversy. There is, so the temple is really high up and there's great views, and there's some blood elves are posing with selfie sticks.
Yeah, I've got a picture of that as well. I can focus on it here. Yeah. So you see the little speech bubble. He's like, all of our friends back in Silvermoon will be so jealous when they see this picture. And it's a camera on a selfie stick.
They did capture the dialogue after that, but the other person was like, oh yeah, make sure we get that hideous primitive temple in there. And it's like, oh, you guys are kind of
hideous.
Like you guys are like kind of gross and weird. Yeah, besides the selfie stick, you're also like Like, really annoying.
Why do the Blood Elves have to be the Instagram models?
Yep. And Akulith is in charge of setting up all the portals, and he's really happy because he likes portals.
Mm-hmm. I got a picture of the portal room here as well.
Yep. And in the meal room, there is a Nightborn who really does not like the quality of the wine, and he's like, they call this swill wine, no wonder the trolls are abandoning the city. Because, there's that Nightborn world quest where you have to jump on the wine and make the wine, and they're really good about wine.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a lot of really snarky lines like, I trust the Zandalari to build large, obnoxious buildings. I do not trust them to make wine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's kind of like the most exclusive royal part of the zone. There's some profession trainers. You can find some training dummies. You can find some dinosaurs, obviously. There's many terraces, many stairs, so many stairs in this area. You can get lost very easily.
Mm-hmm. The slideshow that I'm showing now is at the very top, specifically where the king and princess can be found. It's called the Golden Throne. And from here you can have an even better view of everything. And there was a little clip, I don't think I saved that GIF here, but to get to the very top, it seems like you have to actually catch a little flight point.
Yeah,
and
like a 5-second flight.
Yeah, it's like a really, really short flight just from that part to the very top, which is quite funny.
I can also see why the Zandalari would feel restless or rebel. Like, it feels very exclusive and caste-based, and that you can't move up, and it's really bad optics to be like, this is our king, and he's on top of a gold pyramid, and you have to be one of the chosen to even get up to the very top. Like, it just feels like he's definitely, like, he's not, I know he is with the people, and questing with him is cool, but it feels very standoffish, and that, like, a lot of the citizens are beneath him.
Yeah, definitely.
Because even the Horde at points are like, we're tolerating you for now, but we don't really like you, and, like, go away from here, so... even the Horde are having a difficult time fitting in.
Yeah.
So.
We got some more focus into other interesting screenshots of different sceneries and different characters as well, specifically around the Zuldazar harbor area. So the first person that we're covering here is Grifta. Let's see if I can get a picture of him. I think it should be here. Yeah, there he is.
So go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, so he's an NPC that always sells you junk since Burning Crusade, and he was last seen in the Rogue Order Hall, where he was letting rogues purchase transmog items like, embroidered masks. And he has by the docks, and he has a lot of sketchy items again, such as Vol'jin's Invulnerability Totem. Grifta guarantees that the long-lost totem of the Horde's recently lost warchief will protect you from all mortal harm. It summons a worthless totem, and it vanishes after 5 seconds, and you can't use it ever again. There is bottled Azerite. He says will make you stronger. You get the debuff, that's not Azerite, which stuns you. There is the Zandalari effigy amulet, which is really interesting because you can buy a sack of hearthstones from Grifta, and you do a little trading game around the harbor, which gets you familiar with the city. So, like, you find the innkeeper that's mad that he doesn't have hearthstones, then he gives you a pepper, then you find a chef that wants more seasoning, and so on. And eventually you get a counterfeit Rastican mask, which you then trade in for this effigy amulet, and it summons a version of your current target. It can even be you, and, like, something horrible happens, so, like, you get decapitated, or you get covered in goo, or something bad happens. So I think it's really cool that he's there, and the mini game lets you discover the city and get your bearings, because, like I said, there are so many steps in this place, and the harbor is at the very bottom of the mountain, so there's like 20 flights of stairs before you get up to the top part of the Golden City.
Yeah. No, I find it really funny that Grifta is included here with more useless items to go through. Obviously, we all have to try each item once at least to see what it does, like, in person or, like, personally. Yeah, I think that's funny.
Yep.
Funny that they included him. We got some other interesting characters to mention. The next one in line is Ridla. I believe we mentioned Riddler last week, if not the week before.
Yeah, I believe we data mined him and we're like, where could he be? And now
Yeah.
it's like, we know where he is.
Yeah, so there he is, in his in the top hat and the very very colorful sort of Zandalari clothing.
Yeah, and when you talk to him, he has a number of riddles for you. For example, if I have it, I don't share it. If I share it, I don't have it. What is it? And you choose between delicious chocolate cake, secret, yawn, or story. And I believe the correct answer was secret there.
Mm-hmm.
So
there were some other ones as well, right? Do you want to read those as well?
Yeah, sure. So, if I drink, I die. If I eat, I live. What am I? A fire, Pandaren, fish, carnivorous houseplant. And the correct answer was fire. The third one I wrote down, there's still a few more. It's I am tall when I am young and short when I am old. What am I? A gnome, tree, candle, or Loa? And the correct answer was candle.
It's like a gnome.
I know.
I'm tall when I'm a baby.
Worn down by the weight of the world and fall over eventually. That's sad. So...
Yeah, we got, after Riddler, we also have some other interesting characters. We got these ogres with funny items. So
yeah.
I think there were, was it 2 ogres?
Yeah, Boldar and Habdash.
Yes, and they were selling stuff?
Yep. Boldar sells a number of rocks for 1 gold each. A magic rock, a hard rock, a fly rock, a smooth rock, and a shiny rock. And they have funny things like, this one's specially magic. My chief told me so. Promise it magic or your money back. Which is funny how ogres used to be magical and they kind of lost their powers. And Habdash is a 2-headed ogre, and he sells you a hat box that contains 2 twill hats. Because he would wear them.
Do you think these items are going to stay as gray items? Because I noticed that they're gray. Or is it normal that they change later on?
I think that they would be great because they don't really serve a purpose. They're just kind of like, they add character to the harbor that you've got these kind of scam artists, which, interesting note, we're at the bottom of the pyramid, so there is, vagrants and, people trying to scam you like Grifta and these ogres with these worthless rocks, and, it's definitely not the fanciest part of the city because it's far, far away from the king.
I was just thinking in terms of them being great, because I have an add-on that automatically sells all my...
Oh, right, but you might hold them for RP. Maybe they'll make them common. I could see that.
Maybe. Yeah. Because I know that, for example, all those those novels, those are also all grey, so... Yeah.
Oh, so it's hard for you to hold on to them.
Yeah, I always lose them. Even if I have them, I lose them. I have to put them in my bank, but I forget.
Yep.
So... that could be noted. You may lose your rocks if you don't save them. But then I guess you can just buy them again, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. What do we want to highlight next?
You mentioned you kind of mentioned a trading game already, somewhat.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to touch on the Loa testing quickly, just because we've been talking about how there's darker undertones to the culture. There's a priestess who's testing children to see if they have any affinity for the Loa. And they say, those blessed by a Loa will receive full priest training and all of the honor and privilege that accompanies it. Those are not blessed will be given an opportunity to prove they will grow into strong warriors someday. Those that fail both tests are of no use to us. They'll probably end up thieving in the docks or begging in the Zocalo. And in this area, you have NPCs with names like, Prince so-and-so, but the prince is in quotes. And it seems like this is kind of a scam where you get this priestess to say that your child is special, and then they're really not, but they can move up in the caste system and not be in the slums. So it kind of highlights some of the problems or, darker undersides of the Zandalari culture if you are not chosen or seem to have this natural magic affinity, and just some of the corruption.
Yeah, it's a really bad... What is it called when you have a... kind of the pyramid of hierarchy?
Hierarchy, the caste system,
Yeah.
So
that's pretty sad, because if you don't get chosen, then it's you're screwed for life now.
Yeah, you have no worth, you'll just be by the docks.
Yeah. You're gonna be out and just stealing food every day to survive.
Yeah. And there are lots of homeless. They are asking you for gold, and they are very grateful when you give them gold. You can interact with them.
Oh, I
by
had no
the harbor.
idea. Okay.
So it's really sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah. We can talk about
mentioning the new troll tribes, or not new, but the troll tribes that were found around the area.
So
I think I've got some pictures here as well.
So as you move up from the harbor, the next area you find in between the royal chambers and the harbor are the Terrace of the Speakers. And this is where most of the troll factions are there. The Zuldazar opened up their ports, and now all the trolls have gone there to like petition the king and maybe work together or not work together. And it's cool seeing all of them present. For example, Dracaria there, and they're the ice trolls that, you know, we were trying to help or fight in Zuldrak. Or there's Reventusk, and they are the race in the hinterlands that help the Horde. Mm-hmm. Or there is the Shadowtooth race that we thought was wiped out in Warcraft 3, but they're obviously not if they're there. But then there are the most interesting ones are the Amani and the Sand Fury. They are hostile to us, which is a nice touch because, you know, we fought them so much in Zulaman and Zul'Karak.
Yeah. Those are the ones that you can see here. These are the Amani. So you see that their names are red, meaning that you're hostile. And that's interesting. It's kind of scary having them so close.
Yeah. And there's like Zul'jin statues are there. Amani Warbearer is there. Disciples of the Amani that represent the bosses you fight in Zulaman are there. The Sand Fury is really funny because if you remember running the instance, the axe throwers run away in fear at low health, and then they pull more mobs, and they do the same thing. They run away slowly in fear. And as some of the questing, there's complaints that the harbor is more violent, and to show the king's authority, you kill several Amani and Sand Fury. So that also explains why they are hostile. If you're like, where is the Gurubashi? So apparently everyone hates the Gurubashi, and they're not allowed to be speakers. They're only walking around the harbor as thugs, and in one of the quest lines, they have a little area outside, and some of them were enslaved, but yeah, they're not considered civilized enough. There's even dialogue options like, you did this, you're no better than a Gurubashi.
Yeah.
So ZG was not regarded highly by these other trolls.
Yeah,
but
very clearly.
I think that's really cool, like just tying all the lore together and including all these obscure tribes that maybe newer players don't know about, because maybe now you go read about them and, you know, learn a lot more.
Yeah, no, I really like that idea with all the tribes being represented there.
Yeah. So now we've got some story spoilers again.
That means
I spent a lot of time questing on the alpha.
That means banner up, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a ton of questing on the Horde side. Didn't finish Alliance because of a bug, but we found some major story spoilers related to what is happening with the Zandalari. So there is people got really excited when they were exploring because they found the prelates of Razan in a building in the city. And when you talk to them, they said, "We are the prelates of Razan, highest order of holy warriors to serve any Loa. Our path is the elite, taking only those gifted from birth, with prowess in battle and gifted by the Loa, and crafting champions of light to defend our empire. And no, we do not have any hopenings or handouts." So,
and this is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting for a lot of people because people are wondering like why it would not be possible to become a Zandalari paladin, and now it appears that the prelates of Razan actually were paladins, aka holy warriors. Sorry, I think I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. It's just like people were like, oh, we thought based on Throne of Thunder that there was this Zandalari prelate which had abilities like Light of the Loa, and now there's this dialogue, so they existed, yay, and maybe one day I can be one too.
Yeah. And then
so
no, you can't be.
Yeah.
But then maybe.
Yeah. This was the really spoiler part. So the story of Zuldazar is that Zul is planning a takeover of the government royalty and he tries an assassination attempt against the king and splits up all of the advisors and kills most of them. And then to gain more power, he starts trying to kill the Loa or drain their power and do a lot of things that are really frowned upon in Zandalari culture. And he even brings over the Mogu, and we learn that this is part of their plan, and the Mogu are now some of his allies as well. And the story culminates where the king recovers his health, he calls upon his Loa for strength. They are trying to drive Zul back. They learn that Zul is trying to resurrect ancient kings to gain more power, and that would be catastrophic. And things get even worse because the Loa of Rastakhan, who is Razan, is killed as they try to stop Zul from rezzing ancient kings. So Razan, the holy dinosaur, is dead. They are using his corrupted blood to strengthen their resurrection rituals. And we learn in Zuldazar that we actually fight a resurrected Razan. So that's not looking too good for the Zandalari paladins that were using Razan as a source of light.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, we are broken. The light of Razan has left us. Only a handful of those that followed the great king of the Loa will have any sort of power, and even they are suspect. Our life was devotion itself. Now who do we become? And if you go to the same building that they're in when you finish questing, instead of standing up straight and proud, they're all kind of kneeling on the floor like they're physically weakened.
Yeah.
So, you guys aren't paladins because the holy dinosaur is dead.
So now you know whose fault it is.
Yep. You can blame Zul.
Yep. But yeah, but do you think this could still open up the possibility for future paladins?
I think that if they want to keep expanding the story, they could do something with it. Like, you know, how do we rebuild from this? And maybe after we set things right by clearing the dungeon, there could be a new path forward, or maybe the Horde could start training them at some point. So I think that there's a possibility, but
yeah, it's either that
not
or
like 8.1 thing would be like 8.4. You could be a paladin.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like with having all these details of why there are no paladins kind of just strengthens the point of, no, you cannot be a paladin. Right. But who knows? Maybe it's giving background story for something interesting to happen about that specifically. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
At least we got confirmation that, yes, at some point they were paladins as opposed to like, oh, we just happened to make a Zandalari that, like, you know, uses light of the Loa.
Yeah, yeah. So now we understand more of what happened.
I would love Zandalari paladins. Like, they could have these cool dinosaur mounts, and like their armor would be very cool. So I'm a little disappointed from the visual perspective that they aren't. But maybe in the future they can add them, or the Horde can help them out.
I think it's possible with the story now having more details to build something on that.
Yeah.
I just noticed that Von Snootingham just subscribed for 12 months in a row. That's a whole year. Thank you so much. Woo, happy subscriversary to me. Yeah, indeed. I was like, wait, how do I read that? Hopefully I read it right. But yes, I think that means that we can maybe bring that, or maybe not.
No. It
not yet. Yeah. This is also a big deal.
Spoilers.
This is also a big deal. Yeah, the spoiler tag is staying up.
So, we learned that not only is Zul evil, but he's been working with Queen Ashara, orchestrating this entire thing, and it isn't a new partnership. It has been going on. Yeah. Like, since Cataclysm.
That's crazy. So, yeah, there were 2 specific events mentioning that happened in Cataclysm and MOP. So this has been going on for a long time. And I think I got the pictures of their letters if you wanted to cover that.
Right. So in the first letter, he tells her that they made progress infiltrating the council. And that, you know, your kingdom will rise. We will both rule as we were meant to do. None will be left to oppose us. And then Queen Ashara replies saying that she was really happy, and she tips her hand that, oh, we wanted to shatter this temple and cause some chaos. And I'm concerned that it wasn't enough, and that's an event that happened in the Cataclysm. So it's like, oh, you were doing stuff back in Cataclysm, planning this out.
Yeah.
And then, as we later quest, in something called the Full Prophecy, Zul is saying, followers, hear me. When I journeyed to Pandaria, we attempted an ancient and forbidden ritual. We awakened Leishan, the Thunder King of the Mogu, who had been dead in for many ages of this world. In doing so, I learned the ancient ways to return an ancient king to life and learned how to control them. So we just got Cataclysm, and now we have Mr. Pandaria. His whole very aggressive attack was done so he could get practice for this takeover and his plan to, resurrect the Zandalar kings. So it ties all these really weird threads together, because I remember in Cataclysm, I was disappointed. I'm like, oh, the Zandalari were so nice, like, we were doing stuff with them in ZG, and I got rep with them, and, like, why are they so angry all of a sudden? Why are they attacking everyone? Now it's like, well, maybe they were cool, but, like, Zul was doing all these very weird things to, like, further, his plot, which, couldn't be done overnight.
His own power thing. Which brings the Zandalari some more kind of, I guess, dependency and need of the Horde as well. So it's not just the Horde needing the Zandalari. Having Zul now being a big part of everything, and the Horde being on the same side, that means that they can actually, try and help them.
Right, and this started off where the Zandalari were very disdainful of the Horde. They wanted nothing to do with them. And now it's like, well, now they're grateful for the Horde, but the Horde was only caring about the Zandalari for their navy and their power. And now it's like, well, they, like they've murdered their council, and like their Loa and Razakan, wounded, and he's hiding. And Horde now has the Zandalari loyalty, but they're not as powerful as an empire as they thought they were.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it for spoilers now.
I think so too. I think we can remove it.
Yep.
Gone. Magic. I see a lot of people commenting about where I'm from. People saying Ireland, and people saying a bunch of different places. Mostly people from my community who are trolling the people who are actually wondering. I'm Swedish. I do not believe people. It is not my birthday, and I'm not from Ireland. I'm from Sweden.
Even though she has red hair, she's not.
Yeah. It's one of the most common wrong guesses of where I'm from, so that's why people are just sort of sticking on to it, like trying to trick people. Don't get tricked. So, is the show finishing now? No. We're just finishing the point that we were on now. We still got very, very beautiful things to show you guys. The next topic here has got a lot of screenshots that you guys may be interested in.
Love.
Yeah. These are early screenshots of the area called Boralus. And I didn't even cover like half of the pictures. There's tons. I try to take a little bit of everything, and even then I may not be able to go through everything before we're actually done talking about it, but I'll jump straight into it there. Now they're going. So, what is Boralus?
Boralus is the Alliance hub in Battle for Azeroth. As a note, this zone is more unfinished than the Horde. It's missing some NPCs. There's weird terrain issues. You can see some little white boats here and there. And there's probably some placeholder objects like the elven statues from Tomb of Sargeras are there, which I think is a bug. But this has really cool nautical architecture. Like some of the tops of the roofs are boats, or there's interesting fish. There's lots of nooks and crannies. Really cool views with the mountains behind them. So I really like the atmosphere, very different from the Horde. City's huge. I love how both Alliance and Horde have huge faction capitals that are brand new after Warlords had the little dirt, settlements. And Legion had, like Dalaran was very cool, but we sort of knew what Dalaran was. So this is like a totally different aesthetic.
Yeah.
Some of the parts of the city I wanted to highlight are Unity Square. This has a maze garden and a festive square for large gatherings. I love the maze garden because, like, I feel so often with cities, it's like this is the war section, and you know, this is the section where you go for class training or you go to the auction house. It's just so nice to have like a, I don't know, formal European garden that's like full blown, like not a few flower pots, but like here is an actual park. It sort of reminds me of Suramar in that way. So I love how there's space.
I put a focus on that for now so people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Yeah, you can keep on talking. I'll go back to the slideshow.
Yeah. So I love having the maze there. Next to Unity Square, just to get it's I need to like a map like explaining all the different little islands. There's a bunch of little islands that all kind of look the same. But Unity Square is next to Proudmoore Keep. This is the military stronghold for Boralus. Jaina's father, you know, set up Kulturas, the naval empire. He is now dead in the events, you know, before World of Warcraft. You know, Jaina decided it made sense for her father and the Navy sort of aggravating the Horde, that it made sense for him to die, you know, as part of the battle to have peace. But, you know, obviously they still have a keep. Her mother is alive. There are cannons and moats. I'm not sure if this will come up in the picture, but there appears to be some sort of Silverhand memorial with the Paladin hammer. I was really excited when I saw this at first. I think it's nothing because I've seen it like 5 other places in the slideshow now. But it's like, so it'll be like, oh my god, it's like a paladin. It's like, I don't know, it could just be anything. But really cool views of the city. Trees are nice. The naval banners are nice. There is the Crosswind Commons. This is the area that has the most work done on it. It's a lively residential district. There are guards, there are fishermen, there are merchants, and an inn. There is somebody fending off seagulls, which is like the Eye of Ashara, you know, meme, how it's like the, you know, person is like dying with 5 seagulls on them. So the seagulls are back and being annoying. The inn is pretty cool. Like there's different songs that are there. There's all the Kulturan and thin human body types with new like skirts and vests, and you know, they just look very fun and lively, and you get like a very bustling dock city vibe from it. So I think that part of the city is cool and shows the potential for the parts that are not yet finished. This next part is a little creepy. It's the Stormsung Monastery. Everyone is hostile there. The top of their building has an old god tentacle wrapped around it. There are dead Kulturas people. There's lots of tentacles. There are weird, like, shadowy cultists in the basement. And like I said, they're all hostile.
Yeah, that's actually really creepy. Like, randomly walking somewhere and then it's like, wait, everyone's hostile. How did this happen?
Yep. But because they are a monastery, they do have their own beer that they brew, and there is a little area where they're just dancing and partying, and then they go back to worshipping cultists.
Yeah.
We've also got the Outroad. Not too much to say there, pretty views. This Hook Point Alley is also hostile to players. It's like the really sketchy part of the city. There are doomsayers trying to make the crowd angry. There are not just horses, but poorly fed horses. And there's even a guard, and you talk to him, and he's like, I don't care, I'm bored. So he's not doing his job.
Not really being a guard.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's, you know, the trade area and many, many ships. Not all of the models are complete, but they still look really cool, really sweeping views. Like, the ships are huge. You've got the docks, like this gigantic wall barrier and gates with a big spiky anchor on them, and the sails are from all the different houses in Kulturas. And it's a really very different from the Horde. It's not as, you know, visually flashy, but I think it's kind of a fun city to wander around. It feels very kind of lively, and
it feels very it feels very
like
big
fantasy.
As well.
Yeah,
it feels big.
But yeah,
and
I love the Phoenix Garden.
Yeah,
like I would just relax there and be like, okay, you know, like I'm going to like the little fair section and like watching the inn and the hustle and bustle, and now I'm going to the garden that's like more refined and having a nice view of the city, and I'll avoid the monastery because they're creepy.
Yeah, no, I like the city because it feels very, especially like with the maze garden and some other details as well that are kind of like in the nature. It looks like it gives a feeling of realistic in a way. Like the nature actually looks really good there. It's a big contrast from what we see with the Zandalari. Like the Zandalari looks really pretty, really golden, you know, pyramids and all that kind of stuff, which is not really that realistic, right? I mean,
it's also nice how like it's like, oh, this is a house that somebody would live in versus like, well, if you're not at the very top of the pyramid, you're just out on the street.
There's that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zandalari definitely got the more flashy one. And I think we saw that with their different armor pieces and like literally everything else as well, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just remember the dolphin that we showed before that had the golden line. I wonder if the golden line dolphins is only visible around the Zandalari area.
Yeah, it's like even the fish need to have...
Yeah, even the fish are like plated in gold. Everything is golden.
Yep.
That would be funny.
I am trying to press the zone. I've had some issues.
Oh, your voice disappeared.
Test.
It's really low.
I swear I did not touch anything.
I don't know what happened. Is it the same for stream?
I just, yeah, I didn't do anything. You want me to turn something on and off?
Yeah. Wait, it's working now.
Okay.
You're back. You're back.
I have no idea what I did.
Magic.
Hey, welcome back, everyone.
Hi. Zandalari magic. Welcome back, Perk.
Yay.
maybe it was Brightpaw.
He's asleep in his little bin. I don't think you can see him, but he's been such a good boy for most of the show, and he's curled up.
I think it was probably his doing that Perk is back now. Yeah, she wasn't muted. Maybe she was muted on the stream, but to me she was just really low. Like I could still hear her, but she was really low. But she's back now, so it's okay. Maybe it was a cable loose or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we're good. But yeah, you were saying something. I think.
Oh, it's cool how like instead of trying to have both like I don't know culture us being like oh we're a naval city so we have gold everywhere because we are merchants. I think it's good how they're trying to take very different approaches and as opposed to having them both try to outbling each other because one side will inevitably have to lose.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You can't beat Zandalari flashiness.
Yeah.
Impossible.
I was also going to say that I'm trying really hard to quest through Boralus, but there's some bugs I found, so I haven't done as many previews on that yet, but I'm hoping to do some more very soon. So, yeah. Let's see. We've got the PvP Honor Talent UI next.
Yeah.
We knew that the PvP talent system was undergoing a revamp in a battle for Azeroth. We learned about the basics at the Q&A, and we have a look at the early UI. So what's going on here is that instead of having your little talent grid where you pick one from each row of 3, and you end up with 6 total, now you select talent at 20, 40, 70, and 110, and it can be one of any of your specs honor talents. So you have more flexibility, but you can only end up with 4 ultimately instead of 6.
So are these the talents that were originally on the PvP talents that we have now?
Yep.
Okay. So you can pick any of them. Any combination of them.
Exactly. So there's more, like, you could have, like, 2 talents that were formerly on the same row that you could not have 2 of before, and now you can.
That's interesting. That's cool. I like that.
And you can turn these on using War Mode, which then flags you for PvP with the opposite faction, and that can only be turned off in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. And the UI is really interesting because it's this like gigantic button, and psychologically I'd be tempted to be like, oh, I want to hit that button because when I hit that button I get 4 more talents. But then it's like, and you just want to hit it even though it's like, well, but if I do that then I have to like PvP anywhere in the world. But I could see people thinking that they could get more talents only if they hit that button, and maybe they won't run into the other factions, so that they'll risk it and they'll get their 4 more talents, which then help them, quest or do whatever.
Oh, that's right. So if you have a talent that would increase your damage, you could toggle PvP on and that would always be active, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We can also see the little warning thing here for when you want to toggle it on or off. It says in the red text, this can only be turned on or off in Stormwind. So for the Horde, I guess it would say Orgrimmar, and then for the Alliance, it says Stormwind.
Right. Also, some interesting things of note. Honor talents were renamed to PvP talents. And Prestige is sticking around. We learned that at the Q&A, but it is not part of the gaining PvP talents anymore. Blizzard has changed all the in-game wording to, you know, not link those two rewards together.
Yeah, it seems like from this picture here that you simply unlock the different talents, so the 4 talents, just by being level 110. So you get the first one at level 20, then level 40, then level 70, and then 110, and you have all of them. Which means once you are max level, you are ready to PvP.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would be very happy about that, because there's especially PvPers, right? They tend to play a lot of different classes. I mean, the regular person probably only PvPs on 1 or 2 classes, but people who play a lot of PvP, they may, you know, want to switch around many different classes, and not having all the talents can be quite annoying, because some of them are actually very important.
Yeah, you don't do like activation energy, like, oh, if I want to switch to this other thing, I have to like do these like bad BGs when I don't have my talents.
Yeah.
And then after later, then I get it. So
yeah,
I think it's an interesting change. This is not actually you can't preview it on the alpha yet, so maybe more stuff will change, but it's an interesting first look. I think if nothing else, visually the UI is really appealing, and you really want to hit that button and get your 4 more talents.
Yeah. I can imagine people toggle PvP on just to try that part out at the beginning, and then they get killed by the opposite faction, and then they're like, I'm going out of here, I'm gonna change back to neutral. But yeah, so that's good to know. Good to know.
Another topic that creates controversy and gets people more upset than PvP are
definitely.
Male Vulpera exist, and customization options were added, so now they are up in Wowhead's dressing room. This does not mean they are an allied race. It could just mean that the NPCs have, like, you know, a bunch of customization options. But people that don't like Vulpera do not like this step that now they have enough data to be in the dressing room.
Yeah. Yeah, some people are very scared because it's like, oh, it's in the dressing room. That means it's confirmed. It does not mean that it's confirmed, but it's definitely possible.
Yep. They have noses and faces with different eye colors, and they have many skin colors, and they have lots of ear types.
I'm gonna go through some of the skin colors here. I found one of them funny. I think it's the next one. Let's see. Maybe. No, the next one's gray. But yeah, I saw one that was pink, which is quite funny.
It's the second one in the Wowhead link. That one is.
It's like
it matches some armor really well. Like the red one matches the Warlock Tier 6 really well, because it has red and then with the purple accents.
Ah, yeah.
So it could match Transmog really well if you like Transmog. Say.
Oh, here's the pink one. I think it's this one. Is it this one? Yeah, I think that's the pink one. So, you know, if you ever wanted to be a male Vulpera with a pink skin, your dream can now come true. Just putting that out there. Oh yeah, and this is the red one. It's really bright red, or like really rich red, not just regular red. And then we also got the different ear types right here. I believe this one is also a slideshow, so it should be switching around. I think I should be, yeah, that's it. Just changing the settings to make it go a little bit faster, so you can see the different types a bit faster.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot of controversy around the Vulpera. People are like, oh no, we don't want them. And then there's another side that's like, oh, they're so cute. So yeah, lots of discussions on the Vulpera for sure.
Yeah, so you can now try armor on them in the dressing room. Because they are not a conformed allied race, some armor doesn't really fit well. Like the helms look kind of weird, the shoulders are gigantic. But if you wanted to see if you could be an allied race and if you could be a Vulpera, now you can, you know, put on your favorite transmog on the Vulpera and see what they look like.
Yeah, hope for the best. There were some streamers who were like really vocal about not liking it. They're like, oh my god, if these become a race, I'm switching to the Horde, because
it's really funny how like it's like, oh, here's their model, and then it's like, no, and then it's like, here's the female customization option. It's like, no, and it's like, oh no, here's the male customization options. Like they just keep like getting more and more elaborate.
Yeah, it's like more O's for every no. It's like now it's no with 3 O's, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Yeah, no, it's pretty funny.
So, This next thing, it could be something, it could be nothing. There are items to customize your Mythic Plus Keystone. I say it could be nothing because the Proving Grounds just started this week for Mythic Plus, and these could be items used on like a tournament server to create like a very specific type of Mythic Plus dungeon. There are items to set your Keystone level up to 30, set Keystone map for any Legion dungeon, and add any affix. You know,
Yeah.
if it's
So
on a
like,
tournament server, it could just be like, oh, let's have this team do this exact setup to create a Keystone. But if it went to live, it would be interesting because, you know, maybe people want to do a really difficult dungeon for fun, or if 1 week is not popular with rotation, maybe this is a way to, you know, have a certain combination that is like best for your group, or you know, right now it's like, oh, this is the easy week, everyone does it. Oh, this is the hard week, no one wants to do it. So maybe this is a way of balancing things out if you can pick 3 that works really well for your comp.
Yeah. I think, like you mentioned, it could probably just be a thing to be used for the tournament realms. But if this would be on live, I think that could actually be really interesting. Maybe you can randomly gain one of these from like doing a Mythic Plus or something, turning a specific key to maybe a different dungeon or anything. So maybe you get a key that's like plus 19 of, you know, this dungeon that you really hate, and then maybe you can be like, oh wait, I actually have this key that I got the other day, or this item that I got the other day that can switch this one to this other dungeon. And I think that could be quite interesting in terms of like more flexibility, I guess you could say. Yeah. I mean, it's possibly nothing, but it's interesting if it would become a thing.
Yeah, with the Mythic Plus tournament coming up, maybe we'll actually get more context if this is, you know, part of the system.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that wraps up our Battle for Azeroth news. We just have some live events and you know, live news that we wanted to cover quick at the end.
Like I mentioned earlier on, the new Battleground is now live, Seething Shore. It came live on Wednesday for European realms and Tuesday for American realms. It's the new Battleground where you collect Azerite by mining it from these nodes, and the first team to get 1,500 wins the Battleground. And it's currently not listed as a regular Battleground, it's actually a PvP brawl, and I think it's officially coming out as a Battleground next week, is it?
Yeah, so in a blue post they confirmed it's coming next week, which is pretty interesting because this seems to drive the Alliance and Horde conflict further, and we've learned more about Azerite, and it makes you wonder if more story quests will be coming next week as well, like related to the Alliance and Horde fighting in Silithus, or maybe artifact weapons. I'm not sure, but I feel like we could be getting some just general story quests overall on March 6th too.
Yeah.
Of course, there are achievements. Sorry, go ahead.
I actually thought because it's a PvP brawl, like the Battleground itself is probably not coming out until the new expansion. But it's nice to know that it's going to stay here, because I'm already eyeing at the achievements, and there's one where you have to mine 100,000 Azerite, and that's going to take a long time. I have a feeling that's going to take longer than actually 100 wins, and that means it's quite a grind. And I don't want to have to wait knowing that grind is in front of me.
And if you get Master of Seething Shore, it rewards the Prospector title. So that's a cool title.
And an interesting side note for myself here is I was playing this Battleground. We were playing for quite a few hours actually on stream, and we managed to get 16 wins. I think we had like over 80% win rate because we had a decent group for it, and we were trying to get in as a pre-made. Obviously, being a pre-made also means that you normally meet pre-mades, but it's I think most of the time we still manage to win, even if it would be like a close call.
Right.
But having said that, no, I forgot the point of that.
It was a fun battle. You were saying like it was a high win rate, even though you were in a pre-made and you got 16 wins out and you're working towards the achievements.
I forgot what I was going to say about that. I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're winning a lot in the Seething Shore.
It's like, damn it, that wasn't my point. But I forgot what I was going to say, so. I'm going to try and think about it for a few seconds. You can go ahead, Perk, if you wanted to comment anything about that.
Just that I just really feel strongly that there's going to be some sort of story quest or Azerite or faction quest coming next week. Because, you know, like the factions were aware of each other in Silithus, but they weren't flat out fighting, and now they are. I'm also curious where exactly the Seething Shore is, because they advertised it was in Silithus, but it's hinted it's like an island off of Boralus, and it's like, I don't know. There's different lore implications if the Azerite is in Silithus versus in another zone.
Yes, I actually now remember.
Okay.
I just thought back. Okay, I remembered. The battleground is interesting for me because being like an achievement farmer, the last battleground achievement that I ever got was from Deepwind Gorge, and I checked the dates, and that was in 2013, meaning it's almost been 5 years since I actually entered a battleground and still needed an achievement. So for me, it was really exciting because of that. Like I have done battlegrounds, of course, but I haven't had like that extra incentive of working towards an achievement, whether it's 100 wins or I remember the Warsong Gulch and Aratha Basin achievements, the reputation ones, they also took quite a long time. So having like a new goal in Battlegrounds is quite fun. That was going to be my point. I was going to say that I farmed it so much, but I still really enjoyed it because I had like an additional goal, but like besides just experiencing the Battleground. Yeah,
Yay.
I actually remembered. I didn't think I'd remember that. I got it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But yeah, so as mentioned before, it's a part of the PvP Brawl this week, which also means that it actually gives a lot of prestige points. Wait, not prestige, honor points. It gives a lot of honor points. So if you're interested in prestige leveling, this is a good time to do so. I think in my wins, we were getting like 1,200 or 1,300 honor, which is quite a lot for just a battleground win.
Yeah, and prestige is not going away, but, you know, might as well work towards those artifact appearances and the pets and mounts now with the brawl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed.
So we have some, oops, was a little bright there. We also have weekly events going on. We have the Darkmoon Fair this weekend, which is great if you need allied race rep. We also have the Legion Dungeon event going on. But more importantly, the Mythic Dungeon Invitational Proving Grounds has started 2 days ago, actually. Over the next 2 weeks, teams will be aiming to complete 5 different plus 23 dungeons in time to qualify for the next stage of the MDI.
Yep, and I know that there's some of you guys who are interested in this, so don't miss this out. This is the active time to get there, to get up there and do something.
Yep.
I believe in you guys. You can do it. I think the more people that get involved, the more fun this stuff becomes, so it would be really fun.
Yeah, more people understand and appreciate all the, changes at high difficulties. And it's like, oh, well, I did this and I did great, but then I messed up on this boss. And like, this team I'm watching is like doing really well on this thing I was stumbling at.
Yeah.
So.
And if you guys are doing that, like, please share. I like having teams to cheer on, so do let me know. Especially teams that are not, already like known for something, like known for their world first something else. I think it's interesting finding more groups, the underdogs get up there.
Yeah, there was one run where someone was accidentally like feral instead of balance. And it was for a run where it was like they ended up winning. And it was really interesting because they weren't the spec they were meant to be, but they still made it work and changed up the strategy. And like, that wasn't like, the world fastest run, but it still was interesting to see how people were adapting to challenges and being creative.
Yeah. What happened? Like, why was the person in the wrong spec?
I think for the last dungeon, they were in. It was for their comp. It made sense to be in feral. They wanted to be boomkin for the next one for the AOE. I think they were thinking the first dungeon was good for feral for the single target, and then the other dungeon route would be better for the AOE. But they somehow made it work with feral. So it was really cool to watch that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also have some Mythic Plus feats going on. We have let me pull that up one sec. We have sorry I'm bright. Then like my screen's black and then the notes are white, so I was like, ah. We had the world first plus 28 keystone.
Yay!
The dungeon of choice was Lower Karazhan,
Mm-hmm.
and the team finished with 2 minutes and 59 seconds remaining. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's pretty good margin as well.
Yep. This past week was one of the easier combo weeks, so there are lots of different records that, you know, the top teams were setting in the past week, which is always pretty cool. As a reminder, Wowhead has set up a weekly Mythic Plus series that we highlight like record runs and any interesting skips. The first skip we highlighted 2 weeks ago got hotfixed, so we brought it to people's attention.
Yep.
And you know, we also highlight a new guide that we're writing each week. So last week was the Affliction Warlock guide by Nightfall, going over things like talent setups or different tips and tricks for warlocks or legendaries. We have our next article on Friday, and we have some really cool stuff to reveal in that article, so stay tuned for it. I'm really excited about Wowhead's growing Mythic Plus coverage.
Yeah, I think it's really nice because I think Mythic Plus is something that everyone can relate to, because everyone does Mythic Plus, like whether it's low keys or high keys. Like I'm pretty sure like even casual players have done multiple of them, and exactly. It's kind of like a way to bring the community together, because there's lots of people, like a lot of people take like even heroic rating to like for granted almost, because it's like it's not the hardest thing, so it's easy.
Right.
But there's a lot of people who've never actually entered a heroic raid simply because they're not able to get into a group and they're not experienced enough to make their own groups. And Mythic Plus is that one thing that's not that hard to get a group going, because you don't need that many people. You don't need to know that many tactics or anything. If it's too hard, you can simply go for like an easier one. And also, like, your key normally starts low anyways, so you kind of like progress in that way. And
right.
I think that's nice. And it makes all these Mythic Plus coverage and Mythic Plus competitions and everything a lot more relatable to a lot of people. And I think that's why it's been doing so well as well on Twitch and in general. Because it's not like, a lot of people wonder like what is World of Warcraft in terms of esports. Arena is not very popular on Twitch compared to like PvP and other games. And Mythic Plus was surprisingly a lot more popular than what a lot of people thought it would be. And
right. I would also add to that I know some people feel like a keystone number is limiting, but I think it's better than gear score, because like you could have inflated item level and that would reflect your gear score and wouldn't really show skill. But with a keystone, if you complete something challenging, like, you know that you contributed to it. And if you have a low keystone as your, you know, highest record, it shows that, you know, maybe you are actually not that familiar with the dungeon.
Yeah. So you can progress your own key. Like, that's... Yeah. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm never going to get a plus 15. And then I'm like, okay, so what key do you have? Right. Well, I have a plus nothing. It's like, well, you know, maybe get started there. Maybe get started there, get a group going, you know, and then if you have a really good time, then, or a really, like, well, good time as in having fun, but also a good time, like, in the dungeon, then your key will, you know, grow faster. And go
it's
higher.
Also, it's a good social experience. Like, you know, you get your regular group and you want to keep doing stuff with your group, and it's faster to do a Mythic Plus than it is, you know, raid for the whole night. And it just seems like a good way to reintroduce community and not just be doing, you know, your solo grinding or world quests.
I always try to like encourage people to make their own groups. I know, like, you know, now being a streamer, obviously, I do realize this, I guess, streamer perk of always having people around in the community who would be willing to do a plus 15 with me. But even before I was a streamer, I was always very, very into like doing things with people. I always took the extra step of finding people. I used to run my own raids. I used to just generally, like, you know, be out there. And I want to encourage people to always try and be out there, because if you do something on a weekly basis, whether it's normal rating or heroic rating or anything, every week that you do that, you're building something, and you will find more and more people who will tag along with you and, you know, help you for the weeks coming after that. I remember when open raid was a thing. Did you used to use that perk?
Oh yeah, I was familiar with that. That was a cool tool. That was before like in-game group finder and stuff like that.
I used to use that to make groups, and I remember people had like reputations, and you could like leave comments to people afterwards. And I actually made a lot of friends just by being active on that site and raiding every week. And I think I mean, obviously, the LFG tool in the game now is a lot better. Or
it's convenient, but
it's
like you don't
convenient.
have personal connection, and maybe you'll find that with Mythic Plus now, and you know. I know there's lots of Discord communities as well, or like even bots where you can specify Alliance versus Horde, and then you get put into a special channel and you can find more people that want to run stuff. So I think this is nice and approachable and friendly, and better to socialize and meet new people than, you know, doing LFG, LFR. Way better.
I wonder if, I mean, I know a lot of people use Discord for these kind of things, but I wonder if the idea of having forums, like, in the game would be possible. I mean, we have guilds, you can have guild events, but I was just thinking if you could combine the idea of something like Open Raid, you know, together with, like, keeping people in different kinds of friend circles, not just like, oh, I added him on Battle.net, so we're good.
Sorry, that just reminded me. A data mining thing I didn't cover.
Okay.
So we don't know what this is yet, but there are a bunch of strings called community that were added 2 days ago. And it's all like create community name, create community invitation, create community dialogue, type, name, icon, invitation frame. And they were talking about communities at BlizzCon a little bit as a new social feature.
Yes,
so
you're
that
right.
was like, oh, that was just added into data mining 2 days ago. So maybe this will help with what you were talking about.
Yeah, I actually completely forgot about that. You're right. They did mention that at BlizzCon. It was like a new type of guild thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that. I completely forgot about it. Yeah, I think that would be a great addition because I feel like there's, I think there's, I don't know, I think they specified also being part of multiple communities. And I think that's really nice because it's like similar to the idea of being a part of multiple Discords or having multiple, you know, sometimes you have friends who you do this with, but then you also have friends who you do this other thing with, and being able to be in both communities at the same time without losing like access to one of them would be nice. Because that's the one problem with guilds that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look forward to that. I think that's going to be great. Great.
So that wraps up all the notes we had.
Yeah.
Still a super long show.
Yeah, how long has it been now?
I feel like it's definitely been close to 2 hours.
Yeah, I think
just
so too.
Of news to recap.
Quite a lot to cover, and as you could see, like there was even more in terms of pictures and screenshots and everything. If you want to check out the articles, they are all available on the Wowhead post about this show. If you're already on Wowhead front page watching this, then the links should be right there, close to the video. Yeah, there was a lot of things to cover.
Yeah. So
the badges in the chat, there's a new Twitch update, which I think it does this weekly or something. Yeah, I think it's like at the beginning of the week it resets for everyone. Maybe you can reset it manually as a streamer. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. But it shows the top 3 bitters. Can you say bitters? Of the stream.
Yeah, this is a funny word.
So and the people who have those top 3 positions have their own unique badge next to their name. Like we can see Aegis2566 with the number 1 badge because he's the top bidder at the moment. So that's how it works. Yeah. But yeah, I think that covers up everything. Just to connect with the beginning of the show, we had a question from, let's see what he or she was called. My Beloved Chaos. That was the tweet, almost said. The YouTube comment that was chosen to be answered by us. The comment was about the flavor text on the Wowhead page title. We mentioned that Perk was not the first person to make it, but she does have access to it. So if you guys have any ideas of what kind of flavor text you'd want on the page, feel free to give your ideas, whether now in the Twitch chat or on YouTube or anywhere. It's fine. Maybe we can be a bit creative and change it at some point. Play around with it.
I also just want to remind people that we did have this show a bit later than usual because all of the Wowhead team were usually remote, but we all flew out for the annual company conference to discuss, goals for the year. and we're not usually in the same room together, so I thought it would be nice if we could go on a tour of Blizzard. And 9 of us went to Blizzard today for a tour around the area, and it's so cool. And we're taking a picture, like Mike Morheim just walked by, and we're like, oh, can you like be in our picture with us? And he did. So it was a really cool experience. I'm really happy I got to have that, experience and share those moments with the Wowhead team.
I'm showing the picture as well.
Aww.
Looks very lovely, very sunny, very, very nice.
Yep. And we saw lots
Blizzard.
of cool things that we discussed in the show, like the headless Pepes and the library, and
if you want to know more about that, watch the beginning of the show, I guess. I would not want to know more about that, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I don't want to know more about headless Pepes. Definitely not. Poor Pepe.
I know.
I think that covers everything. So well,
sorry, no giveaway. Sass is coming back from Blizzard, so he's not back yet. I think he's going sightseeing with Stevan, who's from Serbia. His first time in the U.S., so they're out doing fun stuff, and we'll make it up with the giveaway next week here.
Yeah, there'll be giveaways next week to make up for it. Sass is not here, guys, but we love him, right? Can we have some hearts in the chat for Sass?
Hey, Sass.
Very, very, very noticeable that he's not here right now. But he'll be here next week. He'll be here next week. So I think there were people who were asking questions in the chat. I tried to remember some of them. I think someone asked if there was the feral Druid form for Zandalari was out yet.
No, we don't know that. We don't know that.
We don't know that. Yeah, I didn't know about it, but I wanted to make sure with Perk because she knows stuff before me. So. she's the first to know, and then all of the rest of us get to know. That's how things work. But yeah, so for that question the answer was no. For the other questions, I'm sorry, I don't remember them, and we didn't have Sass to keep track of the questions.
Went to buy Sass, and Brightpaw's asleep. He's not helping write down the questions.
Yeah. So we couldn't keep track of the questions. But if you have any quick question now, we could try and answer them. Otherwise, it is time to wrap up. Thank you everyone for hanging around and for watching, even though the show was a little bit later. I think for people in Europe right now, for me at least, it's almost 3 a.m. I live in Sweden, so it's pretty late. It's not late for me. I'm normally up at this time anyways, so it's not a big deal, but I do know that for Europeans that is pretty late. Thank you guys for supporting and watching and subscribing and throwing bits at us as well. I appreciate all the love and support, and extra shout out, or once again shout out to the people on the Wowhead front page. Hey guys, if you want to be a part of the ongoing conversation or anything of the Twitch chat, don't be shy and join us on Twitch. And if you'd rather sit back and click on the articles to read along them as we're talking about them, that is completely fine as well. And as usual, this will go up on YouTube as a video afterwards, so if you missed anything, you can catch up with it on YouTube. Also, a special shout out to the Wowhead subscribers, Wowhead premium subscribers, a subscription on the Wowhead page that gets rid of all the ads for you and also gives you perks such as your own color when you're chatting in the forums.
Yeah.
Never late for me. Yeah. I see that there's other night owls out there, but for a normal person it's pretty late in the EU. But it's okay. We don't have to be normal. We don't have to be normal. Yeah, we can be gamers, not normal. But yeah, I think that was it for me. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Perk?
Just thanks for everyone that came by at this unconventional hour for the show. I really appreciate everyone being patient because originally I was going to do the show at the usual time, and I just arranged for the rest of the Wowhead team to go to Blizzard, and they were like, no, we really want to hang out with you, you have to go with us, team spirit, you can't be the only person there, and I just I felt it was really important that I should go to Blizzard and be there with my team. And
I would have told you off if you didn't go. I would have been like, what the hell, Perk, of course you have to go.
Yeah,
maybe I should tell you off already. Why are you here already? You should be there too. You should be at Disneyland with the rest of them.
So, I just really appreciate that. It's been really great meeting the Wowhead team in person. I feel like we're all super motivated now for Battle for Azeroth. We even data mined in the same room together. Maybe I'll try to grab dinner with them again. I don't know if you saw my food pics on Twitter, but it was like, we had some really awesome team dinners. But enough about that. Thank you for dealing with the schedule so I could go do fun stuff with the Wowhead team that I only get to see like once or twice a year.
Oh, you still live close, so you can still like easily go to them.
Well, Stevan is in Serbia. He data mines the broadcast text, and Howl is in Australia.
I mean, like now.
Yeah, I can see them now, but not.
Yeah,
like...
not usually. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't necessarily have a final goodbye yet.
No.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. No telling off perk anymore.
Aw, thank you.
Now it's okay. But yeah, take care, guys, and we will see you again next week. Hopefully nothing will cause the show to be late, and we will be on time. We will keep you guys notified on Twitter, so make sure you follow the Twitters. Wowhead Twitter is fine, my Twitter is also fine, and Perk's Twitter is also fine. All three should be announcing when the show is starting. So yeah. Take care, everyone, and see you all next week.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, a quick reminder again, in case I didn't make it very clear when I mentioned the YouTube comment thing. Don't forget to put a comment in the YouTube if you want us to answer any question about anything. We will pick another one next week again to answer.
Yep.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.